And let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup, brought to you by ilovenewyork.com. What a great vacation. ilovenewyork.com. And we see Todd Sowell, the league's #1 rebounder, along with Quentin Martin, Raul Orta, Kevin Spann, and then the league's player of the year, Keidron Clark. And for the Jaspers, Mike Konovelchik, Arturo Dubois, Devin Austin, a terrific freshman for the Jaspers, Jeff Xavier and Jason Wingate, a terrific backcourt for Manhattan. And our coaching matchup brought to you by Anaconda Sports and The Rock. Bob Leckie on the left, a 1969 graduate of St. Peter's College, and then Bobby Gonzalez on the right, a 1986 graduate of Buffalo State. The Rock, the official basketball of the MAAC. And our Verizon keys to the game, Rob.
Well, it's been the key all weekend so far for St. Peter's, getting other people involved. They have. That's why they're playing here in the semis. They also have to handle the pressure defense, full court, that you know you're going to get from Manhattan. They didn't do that late in the game against Siena, allowed the Saints to get back in it yesterday. Manhattan, you've got to make sure that Kiki works for his points. You know he's going to get them. Can't allow him to get easy ones in transition and on broken plays, and then they've got to rebound the basketball.
Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you, and you get a terrific look at Keidron Clark, who's listed at 5'10". He tells us himself he's only 5'9", but it doesn't matter. He averages 26.2 points per game, most in the MAAC, and he's got the ball first, appropriately enough, as we get the MAAC semifinals underway.
Doesn't matter how small he is, he plays big in big spots. Expect him to get going early here today.
Right on cue, 13 seconds in, and Keidron Clark is on the board.
And after yesterday's game, Doug, I really felt like he had a sigh of relief. This 3,000-point mark was past him. You knew it was important. He came to the post-game interview with the basketball in his hand, but now he doesn't have to worry about that.
Sowell with the block shot. Xavier picked it up and misfired. Devin Austin with another offensive rebound for the Jaspers. Now, while 3,000 points is behind, there are many more plateaus for him to reach. That three-pointer pulls Keidron Clark within 1 point of Hersey Hawkins for 6th on the all-time scoring list.
But now I think there's only one plateau, one other thing he wants to add to his resume, and that's a trip to the NCAA tournament.
There's Dubois with the layup, and the Jaspers are on the board.
And he's a guy that can score it inside. Can't get any easier than that. Good penetration by his teammates to draw the D and then find it.
And we've talked this weekend, Rob, about the fact that Keidron Clark can't do it all by himself. Quentin Martin, one of the other Peacocks who have really stepped up in the latter parts of the season.
And as we've said, that's a reason why they're still playing here on Sunday, because his teammates have certainly stepped up. Kiki in the 2 games in the MAAC tournament, 19 and 22. Both of those are below his average, but his team won games because other guys stepped up.
Dubois lost the dribble trying to split the double team, and Clark picks it up.
And here's where he's really dangerous, in transition where you can't find him.
Dubois clears the rebound and then is fouled on his attempt to outlet it. Now let's take a look at the series history brought to you by Pontiac. Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA and of the MAAC.
And this season, Manhattan won both matchups. One game with C.J. Anderson, where they certainly scored the basketball 95-82 game, and then a game without him on the road at St. Peter's when Jason Wingate stepped up huge, had 31, and that win at the Anatelli Center.
Overall, Manhattan has a record of 18-9. In the league, they went 14-4, including a week ago today, beating Iona in an epic struggle to get the regular season title and to get the double bye into these semifinals.
And as we've seen, that double bye at times not a huge advantage in the semifinals historically over the last 3 years. It really takes effect in the championship game if you get there.
Xavier off the nice feed from Mike Konovelchik.
But it all started with a good solid defense at the other end.
Kevin Spann, another one of the extra players, auxiliary players, other players, if you will. Kiki and the kids is how they were billing this team at the start of the season, and Spann, as much as anybody, has played a huge role late at the point.
And this kid's become a man coming down the stretch. He has really done a great job of running the point and allowing Kiki to get off the ball, able to find shots.
7-4 St. Peter's. Wingate back the other way off the mark. Sowell with a rebound. The bounce pass outlet that Clark didn't see until the second bounce. Doesn't matter. Able to gather and connect, and the Peacocks are off to a quick start.
And as we said, you kind of had the feeling after that 3,000 was off his shoulders that he was going to come out and give you a show. So far, he certainly has had a lot for Mom to cheer about here in the early going.
Well, I find interesting that outlet pass took 2 bounces to get to Clark. You don't want to usually do that, but it worked out just fine because Clark had just enough space to rise up and fire.
And he's so dangerous in transition because you can't run 2 guys at him. You're not going to be able to double him. Certainly, he finds easy baskets in transition. That's what he did last night to win the game against Siena. Took the basketball, rushed it up the floor, even though he had to step through against 2 defenders. So much harder to find him and mark him defensively in transition.
The 2-time defending scoring champion in the country. With that 3, he has tied J.J. Redick for the all-time 3-point list. And, of course, Redick is still going at Duke. Clark hopes he's got at least another game tomorrow night to keep adding to that total.
J.J. struggled from the field last night. How about that win by UNC? Talk about the kids, a young UNC team with a tremendous win in Cameron last night.
They have certainly grown. So well with a foul coming from behind on Dubois, who will shoot 2. And we should also say with Keidron Clark now with his 8 points, he has moved past Hersey Hawkins into 6th all-time in points.
He's on a lot of lists, huh? Right now, a list that Sowell doesn't want to be on. He's got 2 fouls, and that could be a big factor because they need him on the floor to try and defend inside against Dubois.
Well, he is the league's leading rebounder at 10.3 per game. He also provides offense for Bob Lecky's club at nearly 12 points per game. He's a double-double guy. And so Kamondre Oz has come into the game. And Sowell will take a break. And just 3 minutes and 20 seconds into the game, that was not part of the plan for Bob Lecky's club.
Those numbers there, good enough to get Dubois on the All-MAAC second team, along with his teammates Wingate and Jeff Xavier.
Raul Orta with the basketball. Kamondre Oz will bring it up now. The Peacocks as the lower seed, the 5th seed, wearing the road blue uniforms, the navy blue with the white lettering and powder blue trim. And the Jaspers as the number 1 seed will be wearing their white unis all weekend, or at least as long as they stay here in Albany. Orta, nice pass, dropping it off to Martin for 2.
Well, able to get into the gap, draw 2 defenders, and then kick it off to Martin. Martin struggled yesterday, just 1 for 7 from the field. But in the first game against Ryder, he was a factor with 8 points in 25 minutes.
And 4 early points in the first 4 minutes for the freshman out of White Plains. Dubois kicks to Kenny Minor. Don't leave him open. The little left-hander can really shoot from the perimeter. And the senior from Baltimore has his first bucket and cuts the lead to 3.
And he makes timely big threes.
O's long. Keidron Clark, nice job boxing out his old high school teammate for the offensive rebound.
Those 2 guys have had some epic battles against each other. That was one of the things Bob Lecky was worried about. Wanted to make sure that Kiki did not get himself involved with a one-on-one game against his ex-high school teammate, Wingate.
Raul Orta, the 6'4 sophomore who was on the All-MAAC rookie team, gets his first bucket tonight. 14-9, St. Peter's leads Manhattan.
And certainly so much attention to Kiki Clark, but I tell you what, some of the young players at St. Peter's have really started to emerge late in the season. They've had a terrific MAAC tournament so far.
Devin Austin also on that All-MAAC rookie team, buries the 3. And that brings us to our first media timeout. We'll step away from the Pepsi Arena in Albany. Bobby Gonzalez, Bob Lecky. Their clubs are watching Keidron Clark continue to make history. Kiki for 3, and number 3's team on top by 2.
What are you looking for in a college? Cutting-edge academic programs, a faculty that's second to none, great recreational opportunities and residence halls? How about a college that will provide you with the education you need to become a leader in your profession and in your community? If that's what you're looking for in a college, you'll find it at Canisius. To learn more about Canisius College, call 1-800-843-1517 or visit us on the web at canisius.edu. Canisius College, where leaders are made.
Some of the fans who've made the trip up the New York State Thruway from Riverdale. It's about a 2-hour drive from the Bronx up to downtown Albany, and a number of fans are here hoping to make it a 2-day stay to watch the Jaspers go for the NCAA bid that'll be handed out tomorrow night. Kevin Spann and the St. Peter's Peacocks with the ball and a 2-point lead. Nice set coming out of the timeout to find Spann wide open for 3.
A good flare screen right there, double screen in, and then Spann able to get his feet underneath him, square up perfectly to let it fly.
Well, in the Ryder game earlier in the tournament, he went for 12 points on 4 of 6 shooting from beyond the arc. And while Spann's numbers for the season don't pop at you, lately he has been a stat stuffer, not only scoring the basketball, but also steals, assists, forcing turnovers. He has done a nice job for Bob Leckie, who has already loosened the collar.
Well, he's working the sideline over there. Got the call. A legal screen away from the basketball. But you're right, Spann with a tremendous first game against Ryder when he got a little bit of everything done. 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 6 steals. He was our player of the game that night. One of the reasons why they were able to coast in that first round win over Ryder.
Manhattan head coach Bobby Gonzalez looking for some sort of explanation from Pat Driscoll, one of the 3 officials here tonight.
Well, certainly it was an off-the-ball foul there. I think he was still worried about a play earlier when Orta went charging into the basket, was the guy that created contact. No call there. He says if you're not going to make a call there, we'll keep it consistent, let him play.
St. Peter's on top, 17-12. This is Spann guarded by Minor. Dubois comes out 28 feet from the basket to hound Quentin Martin.
And he's got to be careful. He has a tendency to pick up some silly fouls away from the basket.
There he got away with a reach, and his man was left open for the mid-range jump shot. Quentin Martin with the baseline, Jay, and he's got 6 early points for the Peacocks.
Now without so well in the game, you got to make sure you go inside and get Dubois touches in the post.
Well, it was Keidron Clark early, 8 quick points for St. Peter's, and in the meantime, Rob, his teammates have picked up the slack a bit.
Well, I think he set the tone early on to let people know that he was ready to go right from the start. That's what we were talking about. Put the ball in the big guy's hands. That's why those 2 quick fouls, a big factor for St. Peter's, was so well on the bench.
Dubois now with a half a dozen points. He pulls the Jaspers back within 5. Both teams shooting well from the floor as we get the 2006 MAAC semifinals underway here at the Pepsi Arena. Konovelchik knocked it out of bounds from Spann. The Peacocks will keep possession with 14 on the shot clock.
Good ball movement by Manhattan. Dubois doesn't have it initially, but they stay with it. Wingate's so good with the basketball. They go high, ball screen, and here's a nice feed inside by Konovelchik. Didn't find Dubois initially, but patient offensively to finally dump it inside.
As we came back to live action, Keidron Clark just fired an air ball, which the Manhattan fans are letting him hear about. There were a couple of parties, pregame parties inside the Pepsi Arena in 2 different venues of Manhattan College fans and alumni. And so a terrific presence of folks who've come up from Riverdale. Shot clock violation. Terrific defense by the long-armed Devin Austin.
Well, you're right about that. He's got long arms, 6'6", terrific wingspan. Bobby Gonzalez and his staff were very high on him right from the get-go, but he has been one of the big reasons why they've been able to sustain the loss of C.J. Anderson, their best player, because of the emergence of Austin.
Xavier, no. Austin, yes.
And he emerged from nowhere right there, quick off his feet, and again, those long arms, so quick and athletic, quick to the rim.
Well, he joined the starting lineup January 24th after the suspension of Anderson, who averaged 19 points and 9 rebounds per game. The idea is that C.J. Anderson will be back with the Jaspers next year, but in the meantime, these younger players have been able to grow into bigger roles.
Well, certainly they've got the best young talent in the league, and one of those guys, besides the sophomores, the freshman, Devin Austin, right there over top with a nice putback.
Bobby Gonzalez has himself a bevy of talented underclassmen that if they're able to keep it all together for the next 2 or 3 years, they could put a few more MAAC titles on the shelf.
Oh, absolutely. That sophomore class, you got a little bit of everything. Xavier doing a terrific job. You've got Dubois and then C.J. Anderson, who may be the most talented player in the league. Certainly a guy that gets everything done.
Once again, Keidron Clark gets the better of Wingate on the low blocks, and Wingate picks up the personal foul. And that is his second. We've got a timeout with 11:59 left to go in the first half, and for Wingate and the Jaspers, down 3.
"450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield University combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world."
St. Peter's 19, Manhattan 16, with 11:59 left to go in the first half. And let's go inside the play, Rob, and a couple of calls to get the coaches riled up.
And that's always a game within the game. You see right here, a missed goaltending call is clearly Dubois got it after it hit the backboard on its downward flight. And Bobby Gonzalez, here's that play we were talking earlier. He was looking for a charge call against Orta. And as we said, it's the game within the game. Both coaches always trying to work the officials on the sideline. Make sure that neither team gains an advantage. Bobby's still working it. He'll work this sideline the entire time. Bobby Leckie does it a little bit differently, but he certainly gets his point across. He's always begging for that hand check call against Kiki Clark. He feels like Kiki gets banged and held all game long.
Here's Dubois over the top of Martin, and again against the rolls. So the 6'8", 235-pound sophomore, also out of Rice High School, has 8 points early.
And he's able to go over top of Martin because Martin doesn't have the size that Sowell has to defend him inside in the block.
And again, Sowell saddled with 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes. And we've got a jump ball. The possession arrow will turn the ball over.
And so foul trouble for both teams in different areas. It's the inside foul trouble for St. Peter's with Sowell on the bench with his 2 fouls. For Bobby Gonzalez in Manhattan, foul trouble in the backcourt. Certainly Jason Wingate, such a big part of this team. He's on the bench now with his 2 fouls.
Derek Hooker replaces Kevin Spann in the backcourt for the Peacocks. Manhattan with the ball, trying to take the lead, down 19-18. Devin Austin from the corner. And he gets the roll just like Joe Young earlier in the tournament. The Canisius southpaw got a bounce like that from that exact same spot.
Like an instant replay.
As you see, 8 points for Devin Austin, and the Jaspers have leapfrogged the Peacocks 21-19.
And on the stat sheet, looks like a swish. 2 for 2 from 3-point range.
You got that right. The freshman out of White Plains has put the #1 seeds on top, at least for now. Keidron Clark misfires. Dubois with another rebound, and Xavier, quick pass to Minor, has to sidestep the official. And with that, able to get that swish from that corner.
And Bobby Leckie taking a timeout, wants to make sure that his team doesn't get caught up. It's the first time that Kiki Clark has really tried to take it upon himself. As we said, can't be a one-man team. He's got to make sure he gets other people involved. Manhattan in the midst of a run right here. Every once in a while, it helps when you get a roll like this, or a bounce and then a roll. But here's the end of that transition off the quick miss by Clark. Clark a little late getting out to Kenny Minor. And as you said, Doug, the southpaw can step up and stroke it, hitting timely threes.
Well, he had a hand injury suffered late in January that cost him a few weeks, but he seems to be no worse for the wear now as we are into the month of March. We're into the month of March. Little madness.
Well, one thing's for sure, this Manhattan team would not have the double bye if it was not for the play of Kenny Minor in their last 2 games when he came back.
See the Jaspers riding a 12-0 run. Entry pass from Oz to Orta is intercepted by that man's foot. Mike Konovelchik kicked it out of bounds, so St. Peter's will keep possession.
Good ball pressure, getting up and making sure that you don't have an open look to dump it inside.
Hooker over Konovelchik. He rattles it home, and that snaps the 12-0 run.
Remember, Konovalchik's got some good size coming at you to challenge on the perimeter at 6'5".
team shooting well from beyond the arc. Austin's been a big part of that. Dubois has also been productive on the post, so he gets double teamed and gives Austin another good shot. This time it rattles out.
Well, that's why you want to play inside out. You got your shoulders squared on that kick out. So much easier to knock down three.
Orta off the up fake. Whistle and out of bounds. Xavier was on the end line, so St. Peter's has the ball. You saw Bob Leckie there. He is a St. Peter's College Hall of Famer from his playing days back in the late 1960s. Orta took the contact, tried to throw it up. Manhattan running the floor. Dubois doesn't want to dribble anymore and wisely gets rid of the ball. And then he draws the foul against Orta.
There's evidence of a well-rested Manhattan team showing you fresh legs, not having to play their way into this semifinal. Instead, got here with the double bye. Bob Leckie's team has had to expend a decent amount of energy. Here's the back end of that play. As you said, Doug, smart play by Dubois not to force it. Picked up his dribble, found a teammate, and then his teammate found him inside.
And so now the 52% foul shooter Dubois gets the roll. They must have loosened that rim before the weekend.
A couple good bounces here in the early going for Manhattan.
Mike Konovelchik goes out. And Darren Johnson, a 6'7" junior from Yonkers, has come into the ball game.
And this Manhattan run has also allowed Bobby Gonzalez to keep Wingate on the bench with those two fouls and protect him.
2 out of 2. Dubois gets the roll once again. He's into double figures to lead all scorers. Double screen to get the ball to Clark, but a nice job by Kenny Minor to fight through it. Good defensive pressure by the Jaspers, helping each other. O's misfires, and Dubois up for the rebound.
He's off balance as he tried to step back behind the three.
Xavier, nice pick and roll. Johnson, though, couldn't get it up on the rim, but he got a little help from Dubois, who's got a dozen.
Dubois taking advantage of the fact that Sewell's been sitting for such an extended period of time here in the first half.
Xavier steps out to guard. Hooker gives back to Martin.
You see Minor all over Kiki Clark.
And a foul on the drive to the basket against Kenny Minor. Similar type of strategy that we saw Siena employ last night. And again, the idea is to try and slow down Clark and keep him from going for 40. And that's easier said than done.
One luxury that Bobby Gonzalez has is he's got two ultra-quick point guards that he can put on him to defend him. Started off with Wingate. Now you get a different look with Minor. A little stronger than Wingate.
Inbound to Clark, and he's called for the travel. Minor didn't give him much space to land, and so he was looking for the foul. And he winds up getting called for the turnover. We are at the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. Glad you're with us for the Citizens Bank MAAC basketball tournament. Doug Sherman with Rob Kennedy for the semifinals. This is the first of our 2 games tonight. And Jeff Xavier, the sophomore from Pawtucket, Rhode Island, who attended St. Raphael Academy, has 5 points.
And he certainly has been the X factor coming down the stretch. He has played great basketball lately.
Clark trying to answer, and he does from the left corner. That's 11 for Clark.
Well, Minor got caught up. A little late getting out to challenge. Can't be late against Kiki Clark.
Minor, they leave him alone, and he misses the 15-footer. Darren Johnson off the bench for 2.
Well, Johnson, a guy that's just going to come in and give you energy. We saw that in the win over Iona. He got some good minutes as he was able to stabilize things in the post.
Orta, O's, Span. This is Kedron Clark. Minor fights him the whole way. Kedron Clark, with Minor going down, goes and gets his own miss for 2 more.
And how about Kiki? Not many times that he's going to have a height advantage. As soon as he figured out that he did, he took Minor into the low post to try and maneuver in there.
Well, Minor's listed at 5'8". Clark is listed at 5'10", although admittedly 5'9", but still, you can clearly see that Kedron has a height advantage, and now we've got a stoppage in play because of a finger injury suffered by Miner on that last defensive stand. And so Kenny Miner heads to the Jaspers bench to receive some treatment, and we've got an official's timeout. Darren Johnson and the Jaspers using a run to open up the lead. He's working the glass, but you always know that Kedron Clark will keep on firing for the Peacocks.
At St. Peter's College, success is a team effort. St. Peter's College, education one student at a time.
I know most of you just graduated high school last year, or maybe you've been working for a while, seen some things, done some things, but nothing has prepared you for what's going to happen now. We're going to set goals for each of you, way up here, way up here, and then we're going to help you exceed them, believe it. And when finished, you're going to have not just a degree, you'll be a different person, a better person. Welcome to Iona.
Aspire, achieve. Iona. Call Iona College at 1-800-231-IONA.
We're back in Albany. Manhattan with a 6-point lead, trying to win a spot in tomorrow's MAAC tournament finals. The Peacocks have jumped out to an early lead. Quentin Martin and the boys, though, have seen that lead swing in favor of the Jaspers after a 12-0 run. And Bobby Gonzalez trying to hope that Kedron Clark doesn't have one of those nights. I just want to rattle off for you some of the names on the all-time scoring list that Kedron Clark has passed already this season. David Robinson, Byron Larkin, Darren Queenan, Reggie Lewis, Hank Gathers, Allen Houston, Larry Bird, Elvin Hayes, Danny Manning, Oscar Robertson, and now Hersey Hawkins here tonight. It really is remarkable.
And he had one of those nights as Dubois continues to get things done inside. Had one of those nights in their first meeting early in this season when he had 41, but Bobby Gonzalez certainly will take the win as his team was able to put up 95 points in that game over in Riverdale.
Commandre O's driving on Johnson. Dubois, the third all-time shot blocker in the history of Manhattan, comes over and gets it. And again, he's just a sophomore. He is on pace to become the all-time shot blocker if he can catch Steve Grant. Jamal Marshall is number 2, and he should fall sometime next season.
And needs just one more block to set the school single season record for block shots.
Clark off the up fake, still with the 3, and it's nothing but net. Kedron Clark with 16 points.
And his energy here tonight, you just had that sense yesterday that there was a sigh of relief, and he was going to do something special here tonight.
Dubois has it rim out. Xavier, though, working the offensive glass.
And he has done that. When C.J. Anderson went out, the biggest concern for Bobby Gonzalez was how was his team going to rebound the basketball? Well, the answer has been the X factor. Xavier has done just about everything that his team has needed coming down this stretch.
Well, the 6-foot guard, and at 6 feet, he is not somebody you'd look at and say he's going to rebound. But since Anderson went down, he's been averaging 7 rebounds per game. And on the offensive end, taking it hard to the glass just like that.
And I love his game. He really worked hard to expand his game. Last year was much more of a catch-and-shoot guy. With his quickness and his ball skills, much more than that now. Has the ability to keep you honest by putting the ball to the floor and attacking the rim, as well as stepping deep beyond the three-point line.
And because of that improvement, he is one of 3 Jaspers to be named to the second-team All-MAAC roster.
And I think the coaches got it right. You know, with his play down the stretch, averaging over 20 points per game after C.J. Anderson went out, he was as big a reason as anybody as to why Manhattan was able to win this regular season championship.
Xavier gets 1 out of 2 from the line. He's also among the best foul shooters in the league. And the lead is back to 6. Iona and Marist waiting in the wings. They will play the second semifinal after this one. And Raul Orta showing his range.
Well, showing his range. He was showing that range during warm-ups here tonight. He was on fire. He went through a stretch where he did not miss a shot.
Well, he is part of, 1/2 of the 5th most prolific scoring backcourt in the country. He and, of course, Kedron Clark. Miners left alone by everybody. Can't get the roll that time, and we've got an over-the-back foul.
It's almost as if Minor was too wide open.
Guillen Garndy, who had just checked into the game, picks up the foul and will head back out. 5th foul against the Jaspers.
Now this one's deep. That's well beyond not only the college three-point line, that was beyond the NBA three-point line. He's used to playing with that international line, which is a little deeper than the 19-9 we play with here at the college level.
At least for now.
Yep.
Span with a strong drive for 2.
Won't be long till that gets moved back to the international line where it should be.
Kevin Span with his 2nd field goal. The freshman from North Babylon, Long Island, has made it a 1-point ball game. Dubois hands to Minor. A series of fakes gets him into the lane, but then he can't finish. O's took it away.
Here's where he can't find him. He's got a mismatch late getting there.
And Raul Orta pulls it back out with 4:12 to go in the half.
And I'm surprised he gave that one up. Had a mismatch. Dubois guarding him out on the perimeter. Could have picked up a foul against Dubois.
And we should mention that Kenny Minor is obviously back in the game after having his finger worked on during that last timeout. He's defending Clark right now, who backs out with 7 to shoot.
A lot harder to go by him than it is Dubois, so he just shoots over top.
He draws the oohs and ahs from the audience, but can't get the swish from the net. Xavier over Reeves and 1.
He has made himself one heck of a complete player. Nice little inside hand change with the basketball to get the defense into the middle of the lane, and then the upper body strength to fight through contact. Nice play by Xavier.
When we come back, we will let you hear from Manhattan's #1 fan, Ronnie Weintraub, doing his own broadcast of the MAAC semifinals tonight here in Albany.
It's a college in the city.
A college in the country.
It's big.
It's small.
It's modern.
Traditional.
It's Frisbee on the quad.
It's big-time basketball at the Garden.
It's the best of all worlds.
Manhattan College.
A world-class faculty and student body on a beautiful, quiet campus.
Minutes from the center of everything.
So come be a part of it. Manhattan College.
The best of all worlds.
Well, the Manhattan Jaspers have a 3-point lead late in the first half, and that makes at least one person along press row extremely happy. We showed you going to break Ronnie Weintraub, who over the last decade has become the #1 fan of the Manhattan Jaspers, and this gentleman who is a member of Special Olympics tonight doing his own broadcast for us.
Here goes Orta. Owen. Nope. And then the one, no rebound. Here's Xavier. Next back to Johnson. And the rebound with the basket. 28-22 Jaspers.
Ronnie Weintraub is the best thing about the MAAC going. I'm telling you, in the 25-year history of this league, there's nothing better than Ronnie Weintraub.
Absolutely, and certainly during the MAAC tournament, he's around the entire time, all day, all night. Puts a smile on everybody's face.
And again, we have put the headphones on him. He has been doing his own version of a broadcast to himself and to the people around him for the last decade. He always has a press credential, and the family, the Manhattan College family and the MAAC family have adopted Ronnie in a certain way. And so they always allow him on press row, and he does his thing. And the guys in the truck thought, well, let's put a headphone on him and let him do his own recording. And so he has been bouncing off the walls ready for this. And you can hear from that play-by-play call, he gets it right. And if we get a chance, we'll show you his statistics that he keeps. At first glance, you'd think they don't mean anything, but they are accurate. Wingate back into the game for the Jaspers, and the Jaspers will keep the basketball.
Well, Bobby Gonzalez rolling the dice. He's been able to keep his star point guard Wingate on the bench for an extended period of time because his team has done a good job executing at the half-court offensive end. They've gotten themselves on a run. They haven't needed Wingate out on the floor.
Here's Dubois. Back out Konovelchik. Wingate, he's a natural southpaw, gets denied by Orta. And the Peacocks have the ball down by 4.
Orta's starting to guard inside, had 4 blocks last night. Good defensive play inside that time against Wingate to come over and challenge.
Keidron Clark with 16 points. Near the midcourt stripe, slowing things down as his Peacocks are looking to upset the #1 seeded Jaspers.
And Manhattan has played a lot more zone this season, trying to protect foul trouble with the shortened bench. One of the reasons why they're in the zone with Wingate on the floor.
Nice job by Quentin Martin with the floater off glass with the shot clock winding down.
And he's had a good first half. 8 points here.
Like you said, he scored 8 points on Friday night against Ryder. Had 3 points and 6 boards in last night's second round win. Wingate uses the screen from Dubois and then passes the other way to Austin. Todd Sowell back into the game for St. Peter's. He's playing with 2 fouls. And just like clockwork, he gets a rebound. Keidron Clark, just like clockwork, gets 2 more points.
And knifing through the lane, he's got the ability to finish once he gets in there. One of the keys for him at his size, obviously his quickness, his ability to stretch the defenses, but also able to get himself in and find ways to score it around the rim. Once again, his ability to float in the air, drive and dive by the defender, slide by to make sure he doesn't avoid the contact.
And I don't think Ronnie Weintraub liked that about Keidron Clark. But again, we just want to say thanks to the guys back in the truck who did a lot of work to get the headphones set up. He's got his own monitor, got his own stats. He's doing this broadcast that he'll be able to keep forever. And the guys back in the truck, Mike Foss, Steve Fennig, the rest of the guys, made it possible.
Looks like he's got a fan club behind him there, too. I mean,
he's
drawn a little attention.
Oh, yeah.
Besides you and I. And he is the #1 guy in your fan club as well.
He and I have a special relationship, no doubt about it. Got a good ball game here, tied at 39 with 92 seconds left in the first half. And again, keep in mind the Iona Gales and the Marist Red Foxes will follow this one. Everybody fighting for a spot in the MAAC Tournament Championship game tomorrow night. Xavier looking for his own shot, left his feet, had to throw it into traffic, and it turns into a turnover.
It turns into a break opportunity for Clark, who decides to pull it out.
Now the defensive mismatch, and they couldn't take advantage for a second time.
Absolutely. Had Dubois once out on the perimeter. I'm surprised he didn't try to break him down off the dribble.
So Kenny Minor able to get over and take over defensively. Orta again tries from downtown, and this time he comes up off the mark with under a minute to go in the half.
And this time he had Austin in his face challenging again the long arms with that wingspan.
Minor, another natural southpaw, gets himself to the basket, but he missed it. Bodies flying, Keidron Clark couldn't save it. And so the Jaspers will keep possession. Geeky checks out his right elbow to see if he's okay. Got to take care of that shooting arm.
And Orta went down as well in that scramble, came up holding his arm.
And you could see Keidron saying to Art McDonald, the official, he pushed me, that's why I was out of bounds. And Mr. McDonald, the veteran official, has heard it all.
And he's deaf in both ears. One side from the coaches, the other from the officials.
As you see, a 3.5-second difference between the shot clock and game clock. So for the most part, the Jaspers can hold right till the end. Here's Xavier, right to the rim, and one.
Able to split the double team and then split the entire lane as he goes right past everybody to finish above the rim. That is a big-time play by Jeff Xavier. Splits the double after they come off that high ball screen and try to hedge it, and then just attacking the rim, splitting the defense there to finish it strong.
That was kind of reminiscent of the John Popovsky game winner by Canisius on the opening night of the tournament. Stronger the 10+1.
Yeah, a little more pop, though, on this finish than you got from Popovsky on that. Although that was a game winner, one he'll certainly remember as his career came to an end last night in their loss against Marist.
With time winding down, Hooker does not get the shot off. Keedron Clark deferred, and his freshman teammate went for the up fake and came up short. Well, we check our Star Watch update, and the old high school teammates have two very different results in the first half. Can Kiki carry his team to victory in the second half? Right now, he and the Peacocks are down by 2, 41-39. Manhattan with a lead over St. Peter's at the intermission.
It's a college in the city.
A college in the country.
It's big.
It's small.
It's modern.
Traditional.
It's Frisbee on the quad.
It's big-time basketball at the Garden.
It's the best of all worlds.
Manhattan College.
A world-class faculty and student body on a beautiful, quiet campus.
Minutes from the center of everything.
So come be a part of it. Manhattan College.
The best of all worlds.
41-39 as we are set to start the second half. And the last time these two teams met, Jason Wingate went for 31. So far tonight, nothing.
No, certainly the foul trouble negated him early on, as it did with Todd Sowell. So both coaches probably happy that it's just a 2-point game. Bobby Gonzalez with Wingate on the bench for a long time, and Bobby Leckie with Todd Sowell, who's just as important to his team because of his size and strength inside.
Sowell with the basketball on the floor with Raul Orta, Quentin Martin, Keedron Clark, and Kevin Spann in their road blue uniforms because they are the number 5 seed against the top seeded Jaspers from Manhattan. Spann fouled on the 3 by Konovelchik.
Well, we talked about the fact that this kid has become a man coming down the stretch, and he has played like it here in this MAAC tournament. Had a terrific first night against Ryder. Tough play right here, nearly a turnover. That's the quickness of Kiki Clark to save it, and then just stepping right in. Good concentration by Spann. You see the extended follow through, stayed with that shot right through the contact.
And Spann, as a growing complementary player, now has 9 points, and it's a 2-point St. Peter's lead.
And he's starting to expand even a little bit beyond a complementary player. He's become a story here in the MAAC tournament.
Dubois pass back out to Wingate. Konovelchik, who just committed the foul, misfires on his own 3, and then we've got a foul on the rebound.
And again, who's getting after it on the offensive glass but the guard, Jeff Xavier, making sure that he's attacking the offensive glass on every shot.
First foul on Keedron Clark. And Jeff Xavier will shoot 2. The Jaspers starting Devin Austin, Mike Konovelchik, Jeff Xavier, Jason Wingate, and Arturo Dubois to begin the second half in their home white uniforms with the Kelly green trim.
Xavier had a stretch of double-doubles coming down the stretch of the season. And again, where his rebounding became an important factor for this Manhattan team. Well, he's too good a shooter and has too good a stroke to miss 2 foul shots.
82% on the season, but 0 for 2, as you said, Rob. Here's Clark. Wraparound pass. Sowell wasn't quite ready for it and has to fight a lot harder just to get the shot off. The Peacocks, though, lucky to keep possession.
And Dubois lucky not to pick up a foul. Amazingly, here in the first half, didn't pick up a foul. That's a big stat for Manhattan.
Clark for 3, and he now has 21 points.
And right now, they've got to figure out a way to make sure that they close out quickly to Kiki Clark, trying to get the small contingent of St. Peter's fans on their feet.
Well, it was 41-39 Manhattan at the break, but Keedron Clark and the Jaspers have controlled things here in the early going of half number 2, and the Peacocks have opened a 5-point lead. 46-41, St. Peter's on a 7-0 run to begin the second half, and led by Keedron Clark. And for a man who is so overlooked coming out of high school, he has become the 6th most prolific scorer in the history of this game.
Nobody's going to overlook him now once you're on that list, over 3,000 points. But it is amazing that he was the 3rd option in his high school backcourt, not even just on his team. And it's also amazing that the other 2 players in that backcourt have played in the same conference against each other. And guys like Stevie Burke, who's had tremendous success himself, who has a chance to go over 2,000 points here in this MAAC tournament individually himself. And then the guy who's got a couple of championships to show for it in Wingate.
It is a remarkable story, and It's all part of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. And so is that slam by Devin Austin, the high-rising freshman, now with 10 points.
When you talk about the stories within the MAAC, certainly the New York City Catholic League totally intertwined with the MAAC.
As it has been for the entire 25-year history of the league. And back in the days when you had Fordham and Holy Cross and LaSalle in the league, it was the same type of thing with those schools as well. Shot clock down to 12. Orta pulls the trigger. And this time, Keidron Clark gets caught with a little forearm in the back of Kenny Minor, so he picks up the personal foul. Foul number 2 on Clark, and the second against the Peacocks here in the second half.
Kiki trying to post up inside, playing big here, a little shove from behind. Big guy's going to get away with that. Clark does not.
Sowell fouled on the rebound.
You can see why he's so important. His size has neutralized the big guy Dubois inside a bit after Dubois went 5 for 7 in that first half and had the ability to roam freely in the paint.
Konovalchik sits down, having picked up the foul.
Konovalchik's been a non-factor here as well. So a couple of the seniors from Manhattan who have tournament experience have won a couple MAAC championships. Konovalchik and Wingate dead silent here tonight.
Well, the senior class has freshmen and sophomores under the direction of Bobby Gonzalez and under the leadership of Luis Flores, who went on to the NBA, won back-to-back MAAC tournament titles, trying to do it on their way out of college basketball as seniors. This is one of them, Wingate, dropping it off to Johnson, who lays it in.
And again, Johnson giving him a lift off the bench, a guy that brings energy and rebounding. He's bringing some scoring here tonight as well.
St. Peter's has the lead, trimmed back down to 1, 46-45. This has been a game of runs for both teams. Spann with a terrific look, and the finish by Quentin Martin.
Well, the presence of mind to get deep in the lane, draw the D, and then a nice wraparound pass to find his teammate.
And so Martin, as you see, into double figures. The average is only 3 per game, so a huge boost for Bob Lecky's club, looking for its 4th win in a row.
An efficient 5 for 7 because his teammates have gotten him wide open, easy looks inside.
Austin off the mark. Dubois fights for it with Orta. And they say that Manhattan was the last to touch. Head coach Bobby Gonzalez always working the officials. Whatever he's done to work the officials or recruit or coach has really come together since taking over as the head coach at Manhattan College.
And that's the way you attack their pressure. Make sure you put pressure on them on the back end. Kick it ahead and try and attack the rim. Make them pay for getting up in that full court pressure.
Todd Sowell makes it a 5-point St. Peter's lead. 4 minutes gone here in the second half. Dubois spins, shoots, and he missed it. Orta with a rebound for the Peacocks.
Orta playing like a big guy as he did last night. We mentioned earlier 4 blocks. He's getting a lot done inside.
Clark steps back, and that's a 2-point shot. 23 points for the grad student out of Rice High School. Already has his degree. And the folks wearing the St. Peter's t-shirts up in the stands love it. The lead is up to 7 for the Peacocks. .43 left to go second half. Keidron Clark, the senior, trying to will St. Peter's past the #1 seed and into tomorrow night's MAAC Finals.
What was most interesting about those papers?
The biggest thing I think is that NU is a lot more challenging.
The topic for today's class is going to be community policing.
They have high expectations, but I think it helps you, prep for the real world.
I've been teaching the DARE program.
They give you a chance to actually talk to professionals in that field. You know you're going to end up somewhere great because they've given you what you need to succeed. I would like to get my master's here at NU, and then I want to be in the FBI. High hopes, huh? My name is Asha. My school is Niagara University.
The Manhattan Jaspers down 7 as they try to make it to the MAAC Finals tomorrow night, taking on St. Peter's here in the semifinals. And as we celebrate the 25-year anniversary of the MAAC, let's take a look back at a great moment in Manhattan history.
Jerry West and top-ranked West Virginia figured to roll over Manhattan, but the Jaspers held West to just 10 points and pulled off a huge upset of the Mountaineers for the school's first ever NCAA tournament win.
That was March 11th, 1958, and Bobby Gonzalez has made his own set of history since taking over the Jaspers 7 years ago. A couple of NCAA trips, one to the NIT. He's won 63% of his games since becoming head coach of Manhattan.
And out of the timeout, Bob Leckie catches Manhattan off guard, goes to the full court pressure. Haven't seen that much tonight from St. Peter's, but it forces a turnover.
St. Peter's at the half was down by 2, 41-39. So it's a 13-4 run here in the second half for St. Peter's.
And we talked about all the players from the New York City Catholic League on the sidelines. Two guys who have coached in the New York City Catholic League. Bob Leckie, there's one of those New York City products, and Kiki Clark with a tough finish. Bobby Gonzalez, an assistant coach at Rice and Talentine as well.
I mentioned Keidron Clark already has his college degree, got it in 3 years in business management. Now he's working on his master's in education. Raul Orta protects the ball away from Konovelchik nicely and lays it in.
Absolutely uses his body and then finished with the left, but brought it with both hands so that Konovelchik didn't have an opportunity to punch it away.
Well, if they didn't know before, they know now. The #1 seeded Manhattan Jaspers have themselves a fight on their hands. Off the steal, Keidron Clark missed the bunny. Kiki takes a couple of punches at the basket support. The school's all-time leader in steals and scoring had it all on display there until he missed the layup.
Well, he was worried about the contact. Good hustle back to get involved in the play. Kiki right now trying to slide across, looks back. Wingate just ran by him with the foul trouble. Not able to get involved. Clark not happy with that one. That's a missed opportunity.
We'll see if that one comes back to haunt them. If this comes right down to a one-possession game, which it certainly has all the makings of. Dubois fights through the block by Sowell for the layup.
And fights to go make the catch. He does a great job of posting up and then releasing to go get that pass.
16 points for Arturo Dubois, 6'8" sophomore.
When you try and front him, he's got the ability to body you low and then go get it with those great hands.
Here goes Clark, again working on Minor. Off the dribble, around the rim and out.
That's too much contact right there. Talk about hand checking. That was body check as well.
Now at the other end, Minor tries to drive on Spann, who's called for the reach-in foul.
And since that missed layup where all of a sudden St. Peter's was going to have all the energy and momentum. Even though he missed that one, he certainly has been the guy who's made all the great plays here so far in this game. Great offensive rebound and then a tough finish as he was off balance and still got it to go.
Konovelchik runs into Sowell and Martin and wisely pulls it back out. Now Xavier. Bounce pass along the baseline. Dubois can't handle it. And the Peacocks get it back with a chance to build on the 9-point lead.
And look who's on the floor. Kiki Clark as well. A little guy going down with Dubois. Both guys with great effort, both going to the floor.
Clark averaged 29 points per game this season in conference play. He's got 24 so far tonight.
And Manhattan hasn't gotten a lot done with their full court pressure. One of the keys coming in was for St. Peter's to be able to handle that pressure. They certainly have taken care of the basketball with just 4 turnovers so far tonight.
Spann bounce to Orta, does a nice job again inside to give it up and over. Arturo Dubois.
And he put it high on the glass. Good finish. Orta showing you a little bit of an all-around game. Doing it defensively, getting things done in the paint, knocking down threes.
Xavier with the 3 at the other end. Back to an 8-point ball game.
Well, Florida's been a bit of an unsung hero in this tournament. Certainly Jeff Xavier stepping up and making huge plays.
Whistle and a timeout called. Bob Leckie trying to stop the clock because Quentin Martin has an injury. So Commandre O's will come into the game, and Martin in obvious pain over on the St. Peter's bench. Shot clock under 20. Orta backing down. Wingate goes down. The tip by O's isn't any good. Sowell misses. St. Peter's will keep the basketball.
A good energy inside. St. Peter's getting after it on the offensive glass. That's Sowell's game. They don't run a lot of offense to him, but certainly he gets it off the offensive glass. Good no call right there. Not enough contact as Wingate tried to flop. Sowell got the offensive rebound, just could not finish it inside.
Kevin Spann, great look to Sowell, who couldn't handle cleanly. Nonetheless, he kisses it off the glass for two.
And that was a much more difficult finish inside than the offensive rebound putback he missed earlier.
Sowell with 4 points now. Again, he was saddled with 2 fouls in the first half. It's a 10-point St. Peter's lead. Xavier off the dribble, way off the mark. Dubois with a putback.
Well, if you're missing shots and you're trying to make a comeback, you got to get some effort plays and some hustle baskets. Get one inside right there from Dubois.
O's at the point, Clark on his right, Orta and Spann on his left with Sowell in the paint. Out of bounds, the pass goes from O's to Clark. And that takes us to our next media timeout. We'll take a break with 11:56 to go. The fans who've come up from Riverdale, well, they're down 8, but that doesn't keep them from cheering. They are hoping that Jeff Xavier and the Manhattan Jaspers can get themselves back into this ball game. Arturo Dubois doing his best to get them into tomorrow's finals.
St. Peter's College, success is a team effort. St. Peter's College, education one student at a time.
Success comes true.
Bob Lecky's St. Peter's Peacocks came into this weekend here in Albany needing 4 wins to earn the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. They've got 2 under their belt, trying to get another one here tonight. As we take a look at our Broadway Marketing mind-bending trivia question, which MAAC team has the most postseason appearances? That is, which one has gone on to the NIT or the NCAA the most? Broadway Marketing mind-bending branded solutions. We'll have that answer for you in just a couple of minutes. Kenny Minor at the point for the Jaspers, the #1 seed, trying to avoid the upset here in the semifinals. Xavier to the reverse, missed it so well, gets the rebound.
And the ability to get by that first defender with his ball quickness and unable to finish. St. Peter's leaders, Clark with 25 points, and certainly he has set the tone. He's gotten some help from his teammates as well, though, especially his backcourt mates.
Konovalchik picks up the personal foul, his 4th. And so Konovalchik will be replaced in the lineup by the freshman Devin Austin.
You talked about the fact that this senior class, they won championships as freshmen and sophomores, and those guys were certainly factors. They were complementary players, but certainly Konovalchik and Wingate, as well as Minor, were factors. It's not as if they were freshmen just sitting on the bench and not a part of those championship teams. You'd think that experience would show itself here tonight. It hasn't. Wingate's been quiet, and certainly Konovalchik hasn't done anything.
Well, Wingate maybe heard you, because that's his first field goal tonight.
And that's what he did late in the game. They were down 8 against Iona in that regular season finale, and then Wingate took the game over late.
Orta becoming the unsung hero, the right-hand man to Keidron Clark here tonight.
Keeps knocking down threes that deep. They'll be singing that for a while. Nothing unsung about that. 12 points, 5 for 11. He's also done a good job of rebounding the basketball in that first half when Sowell was sitting on the bench with the foul trouble.
It's a 10-point lead. Kenny Minor from the corner. Let's see if anyone touched it. They did not, and so it'll come back the other way.
Last couple possessions, the seniors trying to step up and make some noise. Talked about the fact that Wingate was very quiet, steps deep for this three. Minor tried to back that up with another three himself, but couldn't get it.
Nice defense by Xavier to get after Clark. Both bodies go flying, and Xavier got popped in the mouth. Xavier is obviously in a lot of pain, checking his teeth.
Well, they retain possession of the basketball, but may lose an important player here, at least for a stretch. Yeah, it looks like, oh, goodness gracious.
His teammates are picking up pieces of his teeth. So Jeff Xavier will have to go over to the bench to receive some treatment. That is a tough, tough break.
You see, he's upset. Great hustle. Great defense initially to poke the basketball away, and then in the match, scramble to get it in the backcourt. Kiki Clark was trying to shield him off. He wasn't sure whether or not it was going to be a backcourt violation.
Oh,
you see, just landed right on top of Xavier. Tell you what, that should be St. Peter's basketball. Kiki Clark didn't want to touch the basketball because he was afraid of the backcourt violation. Waited until Xavier tipped the basketball. He was the only guy that touched it. A break as far as possession is concerned for Manhattan, but certainly not a break for Jeff Xavier.
And while he receives treatment, they wipe up the floor, as you see. And let's hope that Jeff Xavier is going to be okay and able to play on. But he's obviously got a trip to the dentist in his near future. 65-55, 10-10 left to go second. C.J. Lee's come into the game, number 10 for Manhattan, a reserve guard who takes the place of Xavier.
And with Xavier on the bench, they go zone as you take one of their best three-point shooters and put him on the bench.
Austin fouled on the stick back. Shoel getting more and more riled up as this game has gone on. He picks up the personal foul.
Got to make sure you keep your emotions intact. Certainly it's physical inside, guys throwing their body around, and then afterwards, even after the whistle, a little extra. Not too much there. He's just so big and strong. When he puts his arms out, guys are going to bounce off him.
Now the St. Peter's team began the year with 4 straight losses to Florida, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, teams like that, then rattled off 7 wins out of 8, then lost 4 in a row, then won 4 out of 5. It's been that kind of year, and it seems like the Peacocks, as Shoel sits down with his third personal foul, seems like they're on one of those upticks again.
Again, I think a lot has to do tonight with the fact that nobody's pressing. That 3,000 points is in their rear-view mirror, and right now they've set their sights on trying to get themselves into a championship game.
Clark this time takes advantage of the mismatch, going around Dubois for 2 more.
Well, we saw it earlier, leaving his feet and the ability to slide by the defense so he doesn't pick up the charge. That was a tough finish in the lane.
Back to a 10-point lead for the Peacocks. St. Peter's seeded 5th. Manhattan seeded number 1.
And you see Kiki continues to grab his calf. He went down hard on that finish in the lane.
Lee had it stripped out of bounds. Manhattan will keep it. And it looks like maybe he's cramping up. He just said to the sideline, I need to grab a drink. So let's hope that's all it is as Kiki hobbles to the bench.
And remember, 3rd game in 3 nights. This is where depth starts becoming a factor. Bob Leckie did a good job right from the start. Certainly had the luxury because they won so big against Ryder in that first round. He's used his bench here in the first 2 games very wisely.
And mark this down at the 9:15 mark of the second half. While they treat their leader, let's see how the other Peacocks respond with a 10-point lead.
Well, they certainly have stepped up throughout the tournament. But a lot of what they've been able to do has been because of the attention given to Kiki Clark. Well, Clark able to knife around the defense, avoid the charge with the contact, and as he went down, he immediately grabbed his calf. But then when he got down on defense on a ball fake, he got off the floor 4 or 5 feet to challenge defensively.
But all the while he's realizing, I can't rub this myself. I need to get over, get some liquid, and get the treatment.
See right there at the end, though, as soon as he thought the shot was going up, he was off the floor. Not worrying about the pain. He was worried about defending the shot.
Minor draws the foul, and now Keidron Clark back up off the bench, so he's only going to be out of the game for 15 seconds. So a nice job by him to recognize, and a nice job by the training staff for St. Peter's to get their star back onto the floor.
Still trying to stretch it there. As soon as he sees Coach Leckie, even though he's got water in his mouth, to assistant coach John Cofino, same thing.
Give me in.
It's kind of important. Can't even talk. He's trying to get the liquids in him.
Scores table. Come on, let's go.
That's all you need if you're a coach on the sideline. Just a little nudge, head fake, anything. Okay, yep, get back in there.
Get him in.
Still limping a bit as he comes back in.
Trying to stretch it out. And you may have noticed all the writings on his sneakers. That again is in honor of his late friend and former teammate George Jefferson. He also has something written on the sneaker. It says Grandpa in honor of his mom's dad, who died earlier this basketball season. And they're pick out a sneaker. There's Kiki.
Near turnover against the full court pressure. Manhattan starting to turn up the heat with the press.
And there you see the sneakers that he wore on Friday. Wore a different pair last night.
Manhattan in the zone. Order trying to sneak along the baseline.
Well, in the last couple of minutes, Rob, things have seemed to level off a little bit. We had a great flow on both sides, especially for St. Peter's when they opened up this lead, but things have calmed down a little bit.
Reminds you a little bit of yesterday's game where St. Peter's had a real good flow at the beginning of that second half. Were able to stretch the lead out against Siena, and then it was the full court pressure for Siena that got the Saints back in the game.
As Sowell hits the first, that brings us to our Aero Post Out promotion. They are donating an article of clothing for every free throw made during conference play, and at the end of the year, Aero Post Out and the MAAC are going to be distributing these clothes to youth groups in our communities. Thank you very much, Aero Post Out. As Todd Sowell makes a pair, and the former Bishop Laughlin star now has 8 points.
And on the made foul shot, the Peacocks up in full court pressure.
That's one way to break it. Long overhead pass to Dubois, and the Jaspers down by 10. Start the offense. Dubois. Good no call. The flop by O's left a wide open bucket, and Dubois took advantage.
And Sowell stepped out to hedge on that high ball screen and never got back to Dubois. He's too good a scorer to hedge that high.
As you see, he has 20 to lead Manhattan. O's had it pinned by Dubois.
And let's see if Manhattan can get on a run out in transition.
Wingate, pull-up jumper. He's got it.
And they also have momentum right now. Bob Leckie sensing that, takes a timeout to try and break this Manhattan run.
And that is just 2 seconds shy from the next media timeout. So Bob Leckie realizes we can't let this go any longer.
Terrific defense from behind by Dubois. Gets all ball, no contact down below, and that turns into a foul line jumper out on the break. That's a tough shot right there to stop on a dime, raise up, and hit that in transition.
Well, it's not always easy being the #1 seed. It's the 6th time in Manhattan history in the MAAC they've come into the tournament as the #1 seed. 3 times in those 6 years they have won the title in '93, '03, and '04, but they are down 6 right now.
But it's been a lot easier since the MAAC changed the format 3 years ago. The #1 seed in each of the last 3 years with the double bye has taken full advantage of their placement into the semifinals. They've won all 3 MAAC championships. Prior to that, it was a lot harder for the #1 seed.
Niagara last year did it, and the 2 years prior it was Manhattan, and obviously the Jaspers don't want to be the first team to put a blemish on that record. Orta with a big bank shot. He's got 14.
And that stat also shows you that when they changed the format to try and protect the regular season champion, it certainly worked. Just 8 out of the first 21 years in MAAC history did the #1 seed win the championship.
And the other thing that did that the MAAC enacted a few years ago was put a real premium on that regular season championship and enabled us to have the wonderful moment that we had last Sunday in the regular season finale between Manhattan and Iona.
Absolutely. With that carrot out there with the double bye into the semifinals, the regular season championship means a whole lot more.
Not just a trophy in the trophy case. There is a lot riding on it during the regular year.
And also an automatic bid to the NIT with the new format, with the NCAA taking over the NIT championship.
Orta off the up fake, a little strong on the jumper. Orta gets his own miss, able to save it, but Wingate has it for Manhattan.
And not where you want to save it. Smart foul by Clark, with the exception that it will be the 7th team foul and put them on the line for a 1-and-1, so I take it back.
Not a good one?
No.
Personal foul number 3 on Kiki as well. With 6:57 to go, not a huge problem, but certainly something to keep track of, and good to see Jeff Xavier has come back onto the floor. He'll be back in the ballgame when we come back to the Pepsi Arena in Albany. St. Peter's looking for the upset, 71-63 in the semis.
It's a college in the city.
A college in the country.
It's big.
It's small.
It's modern.
Traditional.
It's Frisbee on the quad.
It's big-time basketball at the Garden.
It's the best of all worlds.
Manhattan College.
A world-class faculty and student body on a beautiful, quiet campus.
Minutes from the center of everything.
So come be a part of it. Manhattan College.
The best of all worlds.
At St. Peter's College, success is a team effort. St. Peter's College, education one student at a time.
St. Peter's 71, Manhattan 63. The Jaspers have already clinched at least a spot in the NIT thanks to winning the regular season title. And in attendance here tonight in Albany,
Jack Powers, former executive director, now a member of the NIT committee. And when we talked about everything that was on the line in that game, the last regular season game at Grady Gymnasium, a lot more than just a banner you could put up in the rafters.
well, the regular season title and that NIT bid was on the line, and Iona brought everybody from New Rochelle, and Steve Burt was playing to that audience after hitting the big 3, but the Jaspers just kept coming. Jeff Xavier with a big shot. Arturo Dubois doing his thing, and Jason Wingate also played big, and Manhattan does get that #1 seed in this tournament and the double bye.
And Wingate made the 2 biggest plays. That score right there broke the tie, and then he backed it up by picking up a charge against Stevie Burt, which was his 5th foul, allowing Manhattan and their fans to celebrate a regular season championship, double bye into the semifinals, and a guaranteed bid into the NIT, although they hope that they don't have to take that NIT bid and can play their way into the NCAA tournament.
Certainly Jason Wingate, who is at the line, is thinking only about rallying here and getting that NCAA bid tomorrow night.
Well, since we talked about the fact that the seniors were quiet, Wingate starting to step up and make some noise.
All 7 of his points in the last 5 minutes. Kevin Spann at the point for St. Peter's, and again stepping out to defend him, Jeff Xavier, who went out with a nasty mouth injury a few minutes ago. He has a big bandage on his chin and plays through the pain.
And they extend a 1-2-2 zone. You've got to make sure you extend it wherever Kiki Clark is.
6.5 minutes left in regulation. Spann from the corner, nothing but net.
And because you have to expand the zone out to Kiki Clark, it allows him to give the basketball up, and now Spann's got a wide open look because by the time the defender is able to close out, he's too late.
Well, we talk about the other Peacocks needing to step up. Well, Kiki's got his 27, but 3 of his teammates are now in double figures. Orta's got 14, Spann's got 12, Martin's got 10.
And they get a ton of their baskets because of the attention that Kiki gets. The focus defensively is on him. You got to come guard him, and as we were talking about, that gap, that separation, you get the closeout late, and Spann gets an open look as opposed to a guarded look over top of the zone.
All right, let's shift the focus here on the storyline in that now Keidron Clark has 4 personal fouls. Devin Austin comes back in. Kenny Minor goes out. But now the Peacocks have to be careful that their star player doesn't foul out of the game with this much time still on the clock.
That's when you were talking about, you asked if that foul in transition was a good foul, and I said no after I thought about it, because that was his third foul. It put them to the line, stopped the break, yes, but he's too important to their team.
So now he's got to be extremely careful, especially guarding a guy like Jason Wingate, who is so adept down the stretch at getting shots and getting other guys in foul trouble.
Also, he's got to be careful on the offensive end not to overpenetrate and pick up a charge.
Clark with Wingate in his face misfires. Dubois with a rebound.
And this is the time in the game in that regular season finale where Wingate started to take over.
The lead is down to 7. Dubois double team. Konovalchik for 3. And here comes the top seeded Jaspers.
You figured that the seniors couldn't stay quiet for long. Right now, they're starting to make some noise, as are their fans. Getting a little run here, a little momentum.
That's the first field goal for Mike Konovalchik, another one of those seniors you talked about. There are 3 senior captains, Wingate, Konovalchik, and Minor, and they want to play on tomorrow night.
On yesterday, St. Peter's was able to execute and hang on long enough to quiet the crowd. And that's how you quiet the crowd. Little effort plays inside. Another offensive rebound and put back by Sewell.
And now 5 Peacocks in double figures. The kind of balance Bob Leckie wanted out of his team. He's gotten that through the first 35 minutes plus. Under 5 minutes to go. Wingate gives it to Dubois. Up and over Orta. Nice job to gather himself.
And again, Sewell hedging so high on that high ball screen. The guy that's going to beat you is Dubois. You can't step out. If you're going to, you got to get a solid double so that they can't find Dubois. He's been able to pick and roll at depth, just diving down the lane.
Here's Clark, who's got 27 points, into Sewell. Over Dubois, who got a piece of it. Loose ball picked up by the Peacocks. Orta again crashes the glass, and we've got a rebounding foul as everybody was going to the tin.
Bodies all over the place. This has been a physical game.
Devin Austin called for the foul. And that's the 6th against Manhattan, the 2nd against Austin.
And Bob Leckie taking a timeout right here. A couple reasons. Wants to make sure that he's got a good set coming here. Also an opportunity to give his team some rest as well. Remember, 3rd game in 3 nights, not a deep bench. So try to make sure you keep fresh legs as best you can.
And during this timeout, we'll get back to our Broadway marketing mind-bending trivia question. Which MAAC team has made the most postseason appearances in both the NCAA and NITs? And that team is, well, we're looking at them tonight. The Manhattan Jaspers, 23 times they have gone on. And, of course, that predates the 25-year history of the MAAC. Broadway marketing, mind-bending branded solutions.
And a number of those appearances were with Jack Powers as the head coach, as we showed Jack Powers from the NIT earlier today.
The Jaspers down 4 with just over 4 to go. Marist and Iona are the 2nd semifinal after this one.
And with that timeout as well, it allowed Bobby Leckie to get his star player, Kiki Clark, out of the game with his 4 fouls and rest him for a bit. Won't be long, I can guarantee you that. Boy, both teams have played well. Look at those numbers.
Orta pushed by Wingate, who gets called for the foul.
And that will put Orta to the foul line when we come back.
That's his 4th foul. Orta will go to the line when we come back. With Kiki out, the big guys trying to step it up. Todd Sewell at one end for the Peacocks, and Arturo Dubois, who has 22 points to lead the Manhattan Jaspers, trying to avoid the upset.
This is Siena, a college that builds competence and character, where you're part of a team. A place of academic rigor that builds leaders, offering opportunity and values that prepare you for change, leadership, and life. The tradition, the community of Siena, educating for success, one student at a time.
St. Peter's clinging to a 4-point lead late in the second half of our first MAAC semifinal. Some concern up in the stands on the face of Keidron Clark's mom, and she's probably wondering what will happen here in the final 3:45. Hope her son's career doesn't end here tonight in the Capital Region.
Also wondering how long her son will be on the bench. Bob Leckie trying to protect his star player with those 4 fouls. Figure he'll be down for just about another minute and a half at tops.
In the meantime, his teammates trying to pick up the slack, and Raul Orta has done just that here in the second half. He's up to 15 points now.
And here in this second half, Kiki hasn't taken nearly as many shots as he did in the first half. Just 4 for 7 from the field here in the second, because his teammates have really been able to step up and help him out.
So Derek Hooker is into the ball game along with Kevin Spann, Raul Orta, Kamandre O's, and Todd Sowell.
And remember, Wingate also has the 4 fouls. So the 2-star point guards that we highlighted in Star Watch, they've got some foul trouble going on right now.
And Dubois is fouled by Sowell, who now has 4 fouls himself. That's the 9th team foul. Oh no, they give it on Hooker helping out down low, so he gets the second. And Sowell only is still with his 3. Thought they called Sowell on the elbow. And fortunately for the Peacocks, the call went the other way. So Dubois at the line to shoot 2.
And if he's got it that deep in the post, you're better off fouling him and putting him to the foul line. Dubois not a very good foul shooter. Not one of the best foul shooting teams in the league, but certainly they've made foul shots tonight. But Dubois just 52%. You're better off fouling him, put him to the line. Don't allow him to score it if he gets it that deep in the paint.
And as you saw, Clark back into the game, replacing Hooker. O's also out, and Quentin Martin on the floor for the Peacocks. 0 for 2 from the line. Konovelchik saves, and there goes Xavier again, face first over the bench.
Now you talk about a guy who's putting it all on the line. Remember, look at him. He's all bandaged up. He looked like he may have lost a tooth earlier in the game. You think this doesn't mean a whole lot to him? Talk about
more
effort.
than just a mouth guard. He needs a face guard. With the way he's flying around, it looks like Derek Jeter flying into the stands.
Look at that, going right at assistant coach. Good catch right there by Kevin McClain.
It was in vain, though. The Peacocks with the ball, and Orta took his eye off the pass. It slipped through his fingertips out of bounds.
And not a great pass right there from Spann, who struggled against the pressure late in the game last night with a couple turnovers. Even though that's not a great pass, you got to make that catch. As you said, Doug took his eye off the ball, and then it went right through his hands. Time for Kiki to get back in.
Going offense, defense with him. And now that the Peacocks are on defense, Kiki's out and back at the scorer's table to try and protect the star. 3 minutes to go in regulation. Dubois with the turnaround.
A good solid post defense by Sowell. Just a better offensive finish by Dubois.
And it's back to a 4-point game, 78-74.
And remember, they're handling the basketball against the pressure without Clark on the floor. It's a pretty good security blanket against the press when you can put it in his hands. They'll have the opportunity to do that now as he comes back in.
At what point do you stop doing the offense-defense substitution, Rob?
Right now.
Okay.
Game's on the line. It's a 4-point game. Kiki Clark's a smart player. He's got the ability to defend without fouling. Got to keep him on the floor.
So now he has it, number 3 in blue at the point.
Because sometimes you don't get the opportunity to make that offensive-defensive substitution on a dead ball.
Shot clock at 5. O's gives to Orta. The 3 is no good, but a big rebound for O's, and the Peacocks with the ball again.
And smart to pull it out. No need to rush right here. There's a need to put the ball in that guy's hands.
Keidron Clark, the second leading foul shooter in the country. He's 12th in the country, second in the MAAC at 90%. So if it comes to that, there's another good reason to have the ball in his hand.
And right now it's the high school teammates guarding each other. Good D by Wingate to keep it out of Kiki's hand.
Spann penetrates, blocked by Dubois. St. Peter's will keep possession with 6 on the shot clock.
Was that blocked or tackled right there? Going to the goal. Officials letting them play. Now, smart play by Span, puts it to the floor, gets himself into the lane. May not have been contact up top, but if that's not contact down low, what is?
Xavier just keeps sticking his nose into the middle of things. Nice pass inside, and Orta was fouled that time, and he'll go to the line to shoot two.
That's another guy who's put his nose in the middle of everything here tonight. That took a long time to develop, getting late in the count there on the 5-second count. He didn't panic. How about the freshman Span, able to find his rookie backcourt mate Orta? Those two young guys have really stepped up here in this MAAC tournament.
Well, we have seen in the last month that the cupboard won't be bare when Keidron Clark graduates, because that backcourt tandem you talk about has really come of age.
Absolutely. Bobby Leckie very excited about the state of affairs here at St. Peter's. Certainly a heck of a lot different than when he took over. Certainly Kiki Clark has been the biggest reason for this turnaround, now 3 consecutive winning seasons, but he's got some good young players as well as a very good recruiting class coming in.
Another offense-defense substitution for Manhattan, trying to protect Wingate with those 4 fouls.
And now Span will have to guard against Wingate as Kiki, with his 4 fouls, guards Minor.
The Jaspers down by 6. Xavier, the runner, can't get it to go. Keidron Clark with the rebound, and he dribbles away from the double team.
Or does he?
The pass,
wow, that was
picked
close
up by Orta. Right to O's, blocked, and a goaltending called, so count the basket.
Oh, tough cross-court pass by Kiki Clark, who got himself pinned along the sidelines. Orta making sure that he came to the basketball, not allowing the steal. Manhattan takes the timeout right now. They have just 1 left. This is a wild sequence. Kiki gets the rebound. He's looking for the foul. Nearly turns it over. Picks it up. Kicks it ahead. Konovalchik just a step late. How about the bounce pass right there by Orta? Dubois went up to challenge. That was a hectic sequence that worked out just fine for Bob Leckie's team.
Well, they've done a nice job navigating the last 6 or 7 minutes with Keidron Clark, first with the leg cramp and then with the foul trouble. They've done a terrific job of maneuvering around it.
And the guy that has maneuvered all those pieces has been Bobby Leckie. See Bobby Gonzalez, the MAAC Coach of the Year this year for the 2nd time, but certainly Bob Leckie, a guy with a ton of experience, longtime high school coach at Bishop Loughlin, and certainly cut his teeth in the New York City Catholic League. And those two guys are trying to see if they can't keep this thing going for at least 1 more game.
Bob Leckie going down the bench, encouraging his reserves to stay in the ball game and try and keep in it with 1:19 to go. On top, 82-74, trying to knock the #1 seeded Manhattan Jaspers out of the MAAC tournament.
And they've been trying to run Xavier off screens.
Austin, Wingate, and Xavier around the perimeter. Dubois sets the high screen.
And this time Sewell doesn't come out and hedge too high.
Xavier misses the 3 and O's the rebound, and then the foul given up. O's will go to the other end to shoot free throws. He's a 68% foul shooter. That's the 9th team foul, so only a 1-and-1 coming up for O's. So even more important that he hits the first.
And certainly the St. Peter's fans starting to sense that this may be a magical weekend up here in Albany, trying to win 4 games in 4 days. It's only happened once in MAAC history.
Well, the Peacocks have won a couple of MAAC tournament titles in 91 and 95. The other time a team has won 4 in a row, you talk about it, the only time it's happened was Siena a few years ago. But now O's with the front end of a 1-and-1.
Back in 2002, they were able to win 4 games in 4 days right here on this same floor. Manhattan's still alive, still plenty of time. They've got to go find a good shot quickly.
That's Wingate from downtown. Can't get it. Keidron Clark was the last to touch, and so the Jaspers will keep possession.
Trying to get everything too quick right there. Maybe not the shot you wanted, although he did have a good open look, but it was deep.
Xavier will replace Konovalchik in the lineup for Manhattan. And so now Xavier will be the trigger man on the end line. 46.4 seconds to go in regulation. Long pass to the backcourt that's going to waste a few seconds for Wingate to retreat.
Had to go get it.
Xavier with another deep three attempt, and this one also off the mark. There's Wingate. He can't get it to go, and time is running out on the top-seeded Jaspers.
And right now they've got to get better shots. Each of these threes is from way too deep. They're starting to panic here. Uncharacteristic of this Manhattan team.
And that sequence right there will doom the Manhattan Jaspers. The Peacocks are going to be able to pull this thing out.
Well, Kiki and the kids, and it certainly was Kiki early and the kids late. How about this? They sense it right now. Kiki, Clark and company. They made history last night when he scored his 3,000 points. Now they've got nothing to worry about. No other milestones to get to except the trip to the NCAA tournament, and they're one step closer.
If you're watching down in Jersey City, New Jersey, you should be getting in your car tomorrow afternoon to come up to Albany to watch Kedron Clark for the MAAC championship.
Absolutely. And if you're here in the Capital District and you're watching, get in the car and come on over here too, because you never know what you're going to get from Kiki. He started it off right from the start of this game. He set the tone to try and make sure that Manhattan knew that they were in for a game tonight. And that was one of the keys, the good start that they got off to. And certainly on the other end, the season will not be over for Manhattan, even though they're not going to have an opportunity to advance to the NCAA tournament for the third time in 4 years. Bobby Gonzalez's team will continue playing. By virtue of winning the regular season finale, they'll still have more games to play, but in the NIT and not the NCAA where they had hoped to be.
And so now, appropriately enough, the 6th all-time scorer in college basketball history, putting the finishing touches on this upset victory. He now with 29 points, and Bob Lucky takes him out of the ball game for a round of applause here at the Pepsi Arena.
And that is a well-deserved curtain call. You can even see behind us a couple of Manhattan fans cheering for him and the effort that he had, not only here tonight, but throughout his career.
They recognize greatness when they see it, and led by the greatness of Kedron Clark, the St. Peter's Peacocks upset the Manhattan Jaspers, the #1 seed, knocked out of the MAAC tournament.
And for the first time since they changed the format 4 years ago, the #1 seed will not advance on to the NCAA tournament. Bobby Gonzalez right there talking to Kiki Clark. He knows how much Kiki has meant not only to St. Peter's, but to the MAAC as well.
And all this dedicated to his late friend George Jefferson. As soon as he gets through this handshake line, he will go and get the t-shirt on and again have his friend who died over the summer in his thoughts. St. Peter's 84, Manhattan 74. The Peacocks will take on the winner of our next semifinal as the two former high school teammates from Rice embrace. Marist and Iona coming up after this one. One of those guys is going to try and have to stop that guy. Kedron Clark with 29 points. Kiki is the MAAC's 3 superstar guard. A long embrace with the head coach Bobby Gonzalez of the Manhattan Jaspers, who are knocked out by the Peacocks.